Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing today? I hope you are well. I thought I'd make a video on the inverter system that I've had installed. I did the installation myself. You can see it's a SunSync inverter with a SunSync lithium battery at the bottom, and in between there's a fuse box. The lithium battery, of course, exchanges a lot of current charging and discharging to and from the inverter, so you need quite a big fuse box. But that fuse box came with the boxes from the place where I bought it. It looks very nice on the wall. I had somebody drill the holes for me and pull the cables through the roof. You can see he must come back to come and put it neatly in and put the cover on. He got into the roof for me and pulled the wires through, and I did all the wiring up. It's actually quite simple. This cover comes off, 4 Allen key screws. The cover comes off, and then you've got access to the inside where you have to wire the boxes. You can see the battery cables going through there. There's a cover on the top of the battery. You can see the cover there, and there's 4 cables going in. Unfortunately, SunSync has their terminals swapped over between. You can see that's the inverter. The positive is on the left, but then the positive goes to the right hand side here. That's why they cross over. There's also an earth cable, earthing this box and this box here to the DB's earth, going out in one of these white cables. And then there's a data cable also. The yellow cable is a data cable, because that allows your inverter to communicate directly with your battery, so you don't have to do any settings. And this is a 5 kilowatt inverter. You can see at the moment the grid is on and it says normal. There's an alarm button. I touched the screen now. That's why it came on. Look at this nice interface. I don't have any DC. You can see on the right hand side here, this is grid power coming in here. And on the left hand side, you can see there's a switch. This is an on-off switch. And behind that on-off switch, there is the solar power cable. So I'm going to have another ducting going in on this side here for the solar cables to come in on that side. So this system that I've got now is just a pure load shedding system. The power just came on now about 5 minutes ago. We had just over 2 hours of load shedding, and the system is running. So with a 5 kilowatt system, if you look here on my interface, you can see the battery is now charged full. Sorry, the battery is charged fully. It says battery, and it's up to 100%, so it's very quickly charged from the load shedding. And then you have these nice touch dials here. There's battery and grid. You can see the grid is supplying power at the moment. That's the AC load, and the solar's got nothing. It will eventually show you in real time how much the solar is supplying. They also give it over here at the bottom underneath, so you can see it. The nice thing is this particular inverter, it mixes and matches according to needs. How much solar, how much grid, and how much battery. So you can actually switch your grid off and only use solar and battery, which is what I'm going to do once I've got solar installed. I just have to tell you that the solar panels are flying off the shelf like hotcakes. They are just flying, and this equipment is getting more and more expensive as time goes by, because everybody's buying it. In any case, We all have to get these systems. It's not only about backup power for load shedding, but it's also about free energy. I have four 540 watt solar panels on order, which will give me 2,160 watts in total. Now, obviously, I won't get 2,000 watts all the time. It depends on the amount of sunlight, and it depends on the time of day also. But still, if I get that kind of free energy from the sun, then according to my calculations, I'll save about a third of my electricity bill. And so I'm planning 6 months down the line to get another four, and then I'll save about 2/3 of my electricity bill with free energy. So initially it's a bit expensive. The system costed me 64,000 on a special for all three boxes, for the inverter, 5,000 watt, 5,000 watt lithium battery, which will outlast me, and in the fuse box and these cables. Although I had to cut these cables and crimp clamps on myself, because they gave the cable that they gave plugs in there and goes straight into this box here. They sent the box, but they never figured that cables need to be cut to go in there and then come out there and go in there. But of course, it's not a mission cutting the cables, although they are quite thick. The battery cables, I mean. But I mean, I hacksawed through it, so it got cut off quite straight. So I was still busy showing you this here. If you press on here, it gives you the entire system. You can see the solar panels have got nothing coming in. It says 0 watts there. Here's the battery, and it shows you that the batteries, here's the inverter, here's your house, the grid, and so on. It gives you a complete overall picture. Escape takes you back. I actually like looking at this one. If you look at the battery, here it gives it to you in categories. So it tells you that the battery is drawing 13 watts. It's fully charged, but of course, to keep the battery running, it says run. And the battery management system and so on, it's drawing 13 watts. Then the inverter itself is drawing 57 watts, which is quite high. I don't know why it's so high, because this inverter uses little power to run. When during load shedding, it gives a different reading, and it says around about 30 watts. That's to run the inverter. That's just by the way, because those other cheap inverters, they'll use about 300 watts, which is, you need a whole solar panel just to run the inverter. So spend a little more money and buy yourself a good inverter that mixes and matches everything. Those other inverters where you pay 14,000 Rand for an inverter, they have relays in and they switch from solar to grid to battery, either or. It never does everything at the same time. This one does. This one will take from what you say and mix solar with battery and the grid. If you like, at night you might not be able to use solar, so you program it to use battery and grid, or just battery. And you set your state of charge of your battery. So say you say let go down to 10%, and then you let your grid switch in, and so on. It's quite complicated, but it enables you to do a lot of things. You can see I've got lights, and I've got one circuit running off this thing, because it only takes 5,000 watts. And at the moment, it's only drawing a half a kilowatt, 543 watts. You can see here's the load power. So 486 of that goes to the load. So the others is going to the battery and to the inverter. And you can see I've got two MPPTs, M1 and M2. So I can have two sets of solar panels coming in here. For the moment, I'm going to put just over 2 kilowatts on this one. I've got that on order. And like I said, half a year or so down the line, I'll put another 2 kilowatts on the other solar controller. And then I'm done for now. I'm not going to go further than that. I'm not going to go completely off grid. Having a 2/3 saving on electricity and a full cover for load shedding that's enough for me, because it's quite a bit of a outlay. It costed me, like I said, 64,000 for this load shedding system, and then it's going to cost me about 15,000 for a 2 kilowatt set of solar panels, just over 2 kilowatts. So that's quite a lot of money. And so once I've done the solar panels, 2 sets of solar panels, I'm going to stop there. I won't go further than that. Not in the next year, at least. Anyways, you also all have to be thinking about these things. Assalamu alaikum.